All right, let's go ahead and now that we have, for example, this timer, we need to set up a few more. So let's set up the isPlacing timer. So let's add in a function here. We'll call this isPlacing timer. And in here, we always need to let wait equal to skaction.wait for duration. And we'll say it's 1 second here. It doesn't have to be 1 second. It can be anything you want. But we'll also say let countdown timer is equal to skaction.runBlock. And we'll add in our curly brackets here. And within this run block, we're going to, one thing we can do actually is we can always put the sequence up first. So let's sequence equal to skaction.sequence. And then we're just going to do wait, then run block. I know it seems, or rate then countdown timer. Now I know it seems a little bit unintuitive to set up code before we've actually made anything, but some people like to do it this way. So it's up to you whether you want to do it this way. So we're going to go to self.runAction, skaction.repeatAction. We're going to repeat the sequence a total of placing timer var. Okay, and we'll be using that very shortly here. Okay, so up in here, we'll say placing timer var is equal to placing timer var minus 1. And then we're going to set lbl main dot font size is equal to 90. And we're going to go to lbl main dot text is equal to place blocks. All right, we're going to tell the user to place the blocks here, and then we're going to say placing timer var. So if placing timer var is less than or equal to 3, then we will say lbl timer dot text is equal to placing timer var. Okay, so we're going to set that up so that it prints out if it's less than 3. Then we're going to say if placing timer var is less than or is less than 0. Okay, and by the way, we should make this less than 0. Okay, just like that here. So if it's less than 0, then we're going to do a couple things. We're going to go and we're going to say, for example, self.background color is equal to off-white color. So what we're going to do is we're going to just simply change the background color. All right, we're going to set lbl main dot alpha to 1.0. And the reason why we're setting it to 1.0 is that if you don't set it to 1.0, it will be a bit too hard to read. So that will work, as well as we're going to set lbl main dot font color is equal to, and we're going to say off black color. So we're going to change the color of lbl main, and then we're going to go to lbl main dot z position is equal to 1, so that we're putting it in the foreground. So if you need to put it in the foreground, that's what you do. We're going to say lbl, what we're going to do is we're going to say lbl score dot font color is equal to orange custom color, or we don't need to put that in quotes actually, orange custom color, and then we're going to go to lbl score dot z position is equal to 1. All right, lbl score dot font color, and this one has to be lbl timer dot font color is equal to, and then we're going to say orange custom color, and then we're going to go to lbl timer dot z position is equal to 1. Wow, okay, so now that we have that here, we need to set, and then at the end of all this, we're going to set that function where we go and set up the is being placed here. So we'll call set game state variables. So in this case, we're going to set the is being placed to false, okay? And so once we have the is being placed as false, then we're going to set is collecting to true, and then we're going to set is complete to false. And you can see there that, look at that, that actually looks pretty simple. And of course, since you're in a run block, you have to do self.action, run action there, okay? So that pretty much works out that here. So we have the is starter timer, we have the is placing timer. Now we need the is collecting timer. So let's set that up. And I'm going to set this up before we set up our game variable, this game state variable here. We're going to say is collecting timer, and we're going to say let wait is equal to skaction.wait for duration, and we'll wait 1 second. And you can see that timers are set up pretty much the same way. We'll call this countdown timer and make it equal to skaction.count, skaction.runBlock actually. And within that block, we're going to add in some code, but let's set up the sequence first, and we'll make that equal to skaction.sequence. We'll say wait, then countdown timer. Then we're going to go self.runAction, and the action is going to be skaction.repeat action. We're going to repeat the sequence, a total of collecting timer var. Yeah. All right, let's go set up our run block here. And we're going to say collecting timer var is equal to collecting timer var -1. And we're going to set LBL main dot font size is equal to 50. And then we're going to say LBL main dot text is equal to collect orange blocks. And that's why we needed to go and we can actually, yeah, we'll say blocks here for now. And that's why we need to change it to 50, because we wouldn't probably be able to fit it in there. And I think that's actually even probably too big. We might need to change our font sizes later. All right, and we're going to say if collecting timer var, okay, is double equal or is less than or equal to 5, and, okay, we're going to say and is collecting is double equal to true. So we're going to add in that dual condition there, and we're going to say LBL timer dot text is equal to collecting timer var, and you need to put it in the brackets there. Okay. So lastly, we're going to say if collecting timer var is less than or equal to 0. In this case, we'll say we'll set up some game over logic. So we'll add in a function here. We'll call this game over logic, and we will call that self.gameOverLogic. Now, before we even do that, though, let's call our set game state variables. We'll set this to false, false, and then this is complete here. Okay, so this is complete is equal to true. Okay, true. And this will set the game state variable. And of course, you need to use the self, okay, in there. So collecting false, false, and true. And there we go. We now have all this working out in the timers here. But one thing we have not done is call our first timer here. So we're going to say the first one is the first one we put down was is or starter timer. Okay, and we need to go back to our starter timer, and at the end of that starter timer, did we need to add in, for example, this starter timer? Do we need to set the timers for the other ones? And the absolutely yes, we do. So in this last if statement, we're going to say self dot is placing timer, and then let's go to our is placing timer, and after we set the game state variables, we'll go to self dot is collecting timer. Okay, because you see it's a chain. We start off with this start timer, we move to our is placing timer, and then we move to our is collecting timer, and once that's done, we move to our game over logic. So it calls it in a chain. Now it's hard to understand that because it's a little bit more abstract and it's a line of code. So you just have to make sure that you read your lines of code. All right, this concludes the tutorial.